Hello, netizens, and welcome back to the channel. Erotism here. We're checking out Senator John Kennedy having a little tirade here. Uh, I think this guy's just hilarious, and whenever he has anything to say, I think it's usually pretty funny. Um, Probably ever since you read those sex education books, those sound clips are hilarious. So I'm hoping there's some little tasty tidbits in there for us. So let's check it out.
The second reason I rise is to talk about a regulation that I'm trying to get rid of. But I want to begin with this observation. Nearly 5 years ago, when he was running for president, I remember it like it was yesterday. President Biden said, quote, I guarantee
I was gonna say I'm surprised he can remember anything because he's so old. Um, but he's literally reading off a piece of paper. I remember when. Let me read that.
you we're going to end fossil fuels, end quote. I guarantee you, he said, in front of God, country, and the American people, I guarantee you, he said, we're going to end fossil fuels. And he tried.
Maury, let's check it. Let's check the lie detector. That was a lie.
For 4 years, he tried. Here's why.
If I knew how to edit videos, I would edit in a clip of Maury of like, "You're not the father," or and the test said that was also a lie.
Point that out. The first well drilled in the Gulf of America. I know some people call it the Gulf of Mexico. I don't want to get off into that discussion. But
why not just call it the Gulf? Or maybe the Gulf of the Americas? But who really cares?
First well drilled offshore in the Gulf of America was drilled in 87 years ago in 1938. Since then, we have drilled, I think, 6,000 wells. There are 6,000 platforms in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, before an oil company...
Oh my god, he just called it the Gulf of Mexico! Outrageous! Lock this man up. Anti-American bastard.
Company drills a well on its own volition and at the suggestion...
Okay. And I'm just noticing this lady for a minute and 24 seconds hasn't moved. Oh, there she goes. She moved. As soon as I say something, she starts moving and acting like a human being.
Just makes sense for safety reasons, but also for the sake of history, because we want to look for shipwrecks. We have found, I don't know how many shipwrecks, Mr. President. I had it written down, and I've
4,000. He said it in another video that I watched.
4,000 shipwrecks. We've surveyed the entire Gulf of America in the 87 years since we started drilling there. We have surveyed 311,652 square nautical miles, the surface area of Texas and California put together. That's how we found 4,000 shipwrecks. And it's cost hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. So we know what's there.
Okay. I hope he's not arguing against collecting survey data from the bottom of the ocean, because I think it's pretty important to know like how the ocean floor works and shit. So
we know what's there. Well, in September of
come on, John, get it up.
2024, the Department of Interior, in a midnight regulation, in an effort to try to further hurt fossil fuels, passed a new rule. And they said, look.
The lady's trying so hard, like, not to smile. She's just like, look straight forward, look stone-faced, don't smile, don't smile, don't smile.
We know we've surveyed the entire Gulf, and we know we found 4,000 shipwrecks. And we know that the area that we surveyed is the size of California and Texas put together. But
Did he just repeat
every time
himself?
you drill a new well, we want you to survey again. Well, why? I mean,
There's this thing called tectonic plates. The surface of the Earth is constantly moving, and because of this, it might be a good idea to resurvey locations to check and make sure everything's still good. You wouldn't want to drill down into certain things, I would assume, and so it's probably a good idea to double check to make sure, if the survey's 50 years old, that data may not be accurate anymore. Also, the technology to survey the bottom of the ocean, I would hope, has greatly increased since the first wells were dug in, what do you say, 1938? So far, I'm not really agreeing with him.
what's the benefit? We know what the cost is. It costs anywhere from $10,000 to $1 million to resurvey again.
And oil companies profit billions of dollars a year. So $10,000 to $1 million really shouldn't affect their bottom line that much.
It just makes no sense. And a third of the production in the Gulf is from independent oil companies. Maybe the majors can support this, but if an independent oil company has to survey what's already been surveyed, it can add, as I said, $10,000 to $1 million to well cost.
Okay. No, I didn't know that most of the wells are independently owned, so that's an interesting little tidbit there. But I'm still gonna have to go back to my previous point that the floor of the ocean is constantly changing, and maybe not constantly, but over time is changing. And if a survey is 50 or 80, 50, 30, 20 years old, maybe that information needs to be updated.
What's the point? I can tell you what the point is. Somebody over at BOEM, the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, Department of Interior, hates.
I hate the government so much. Let's make a department for it. I feel like the government is a parasite, and if you don't keep it in check, it'll continue. Well, actually, I should call it a cancer. And if you don't do chemo, it'll continue to metastasize. And like most parasites or cancers, it'll end up killing the host. So,
Fossil fuels, somebody or somebody's. Now, I'm not saying that the person who came up with this rule is the dumbest guy in the world. But that person better hope that the dumbest guy in the world doesn't die.
all right. So he said this in another press conference. I'm assuming maybe after this this little speech he's doing. But come on, John, you got to come up with more than one line.
Because this is just bone deep down to the marrow dumb. This is the kind of
Cost efficient? No. Dumb down to the marrow of our bones? I wouldn't think it's that stupid. There are far more stupid things going on in our government than this.
spending porn that
Spending porn, I like that. That's a good little phrase, spending porn. I want to write that one down.
that we all ought to abhor. So I'm going to try to kill the regulation today under what, as you know, Mr. President, is called the Congressional Review Act. and we'll be voting on that. We'll be voting on that shortly, and I hope that I realize that common sense, as I've said before, is illegal in Washington. This is not a normal place, but I hope folks who still have common sense will.
Yeah, so that wasn't as intense as I thought it would be, or as humorous as I thought it would be, and I don't necessarily agree with him. Um, you know, the earth is dynamic and in constant change, and so is technology. So I think we do need to continuously resurvey things. Maybe some like certain time frame, like, oh, the survey was done in the last 10 years. You don't need to do it. But if it's 25, 30, 50, 80 years old, let's get in there and resurvey it. Maybe for the smaller independent companies, there could be some sort of subsidy or something. But let me know what you guys think down below. Have a good day.